Let's get right into this, guys. A lot of requests for this one. Suga with Jimin. Jimin's obviously been on a hot streak lately. I recently listened to his album. Incredible. Suga obviously killing it with the show, so let's get right into it, guys. I look forward to it. And I said to myself, if I'm going to get any BTS merch, I don't know why, but it's going to have Yoongi on it. The man.
맨 처음에는 그렇게 큰 기대를 안 하고 봤었는데 점점 라인업이 너무 대단해지더니 너무 재밌더라고요. 근데 생각보다 공간이 작네요.
여기 아담하지?
네.
아담해?
저 진짜 넓을 줄 알았는데
아니야,
별로 안 커.
둘이 대화하는데 뭐 그렇게 클 필요가 있나?
영상 안에서 진짜 커 보일 거예요.
아니 어제 너 라이브 하길래 내가 회사에 있었거든.
아 그래요?
Yeah, I mean, right away, Jimin feels incredibly loose here. And I've commented about Jimin in his past couple recent interviews. He seems to just be a lot more straightforward and not necessarily as hyper aware of how he's coming across. And especially here, I mean, obviously Suga's his brother over here, but it's so cool to see Jimin just really, really comfortable and confident.
저 뒤에 다 있잖아.
그러니까 이게 나중에 이렇게 올라가요.
그 페이스 저 앨범 자리에 이제
여기 있구나. 되게 좀 그렇다.
아니야 참기름 같기도 하다. 아니 근데 이 소주를 가져가는데 소주의 매력 뭐라고 생각합니까?
그냥 한 잔에 딱 털어 넘기고 그냥 씁쓸하니 그냥 팍 하고 먹는 거지 뭐.
아니 어릴 적에 내가 지민이 처음 술 마신 게 소주였는데
저랑 태형이랑 싸웠을 때
싸워가지고.
만두 사건.
나한테 가가지고 술 사줬었지 그때.
Suga's just so consistent, you know, he's just so consistently himself. And I absolutely love his vibe. As I've mentioned before, he's not performative, like he doesn't put it on. So him eating and hanging out and kind of leaning in, like you see Jimin's posture compared to Yoongi's posture, kind of leaning in and hanging out, that all contributes to this sort of real, you know, genuine feeling that you get when you watch Yoongi. Just his whole feel, like his whole aura, it's so natural seeming.
이 무겁고 힘든 감정을 처음 느껴요, 처음.
그것도 하다 보면 괜찮아져.
되게 발가벗겨진 느낌?
근데 아니 난 앨범을 뭐 전체 다 들어보지는 못했지만 타이틀곡 정도는 들어봐서 나는 너가 막 그렇게 불안해 안 해도 될 것 같은데 너무 좋던데 나는?
감사합니다. 표정 뭐예요?
Yeah, I think Suga's feedback is probably really important to Jimin, especially on the music side. You know, I think Jimin was really watching closely to see what Suga had to say about his title track. Jimin's the type of guy that's like focusing closely on the tone of someone's response, the facial expressions. Jimin's very in tune with people, so he listens very keenly, very closely. Either way, what I wanted to say was they seem to joke around a lot with each other more than even some of the other members. I'm actually seeing Jimin and Suga having this more sort of playful banter. That's what it seems like.
잘 못하는 느낌. 근데 나는 내가 듣고는 있냐?
See, they call each other out. You know, I love that. You saw Jimin call Suga out earlier for not standing up.
다른 사람들은 일어서서 여기서 인사해주더만 나는 그냥 앉아있네.
They play off each other really, really well.
어쨌든 우리랑 가장 오래 했던 팀이니까 그래서 나는 너가 다른 외부 프로듀스 안 쓰고 그냥 내부에서만 했던 게 나는 되게 좋았던 것 같아.
네, 진짜 너무 좋았어요, 정말.
정말 사람 대 사람으로 이야기를 하면서 음악을 만들 수 있는 사람을 꾸리는 게 되게 중요한데 그거를 기존의 스태프들과 그게 가능한다면 사실 그것만큼 더 쉬운 게 어딨어. 도기 형이랑 거의 13년을 봤는데 나는 되게 잘 선택한 것 같아.
Suga's so in his element when he's talking about music, isn't he? So I just enjoy that a lot. And yeah, there's just a real self-certainty about Jimin here. He sort of exposed himself through his music recently. So now that he's sort of exposed himself to the world in a way, maybe there's something in him now that feels, because I don't really have much to hide, I'm a little bit more comfortable speaking freely.
확실히 녹음하고 이 노래 부르는 거랑 또 라이브랑 다 다르잖아요. 정말 부족함을 많이 느낍니다. 이게 한국을 끌어가야 되는 게 얼마나 힘든지.
아니 뭐 솔로곡 안 낸 것도 아니고요.
막 본격적으로 해본 적은 없잖아요. 그냥 한 번씩 맛보기였잖아요. 장난 아니더라고.
나도 그래 앨범 작업할 때.
우리 형들을 존경해 나는 진짜로.
해야지. 해야지.
편하게 살게 좀.
야, 얼마나 열심히 했냐 우리가.
인정해요 형님.
See, it's that honesty from Suga, you know?
야, 얼마나 열심히 했냐 우리가.
And it's fun seeing Suga affected by things because his reactions are beautiful. They're so beautiful because they're so honest. Yoongi doesn't try to act humble. He is humble, but he doesn't try to act that way. Like doesn't monitor what he says. I think he monitors what he says the least out of all the guys. But I love it. I love how they're just kind of feeding each other compliments back and forth, right? They can feed each other compliments just as seamlessly as they feed each other jokes.
우리 형들을 존경해 나는 진짜로.
해야지. 해야지.
편하게 살게 좀.
What a great rapport these two have.
뭐 했다고?
왜냐면 가사를 제가 막 써보고 이러질 않아서 멜로디는 그래도 작업을 좀 자주 해봤었는데 가사가 쉽지 않더라고요.
지금 내 모습을
아이씨
그런
식으로 이건 놀리는 거죠.
사람을 믿는 건 지독한 악몽의
어우 여기 되게 별로다.
I noticed like when Jimin's talking to Suga, like Jimin's like really, when he's speaking to him, he's really looking at him. And to me, that's sort of an indication that Jimin's like really reading his reaction. Like Jimin is very, very perceptive of how people react to things. Like I said before, he's very emotionally in tune. He's constantly reading people. And Suga's a harder one to read because he's not always looking at you. And I think that's part of why Jimin gets a lot out of Suga, because he's watching him. He understands him. He understands what sort of how to push his buttons in a way, in a positive way. I think Jimin can charm Suga. And it's easier to charm someone when you're really observant because you can comment on very specific behaviors that they're doing or things that they've said.
쓰는 걸 그렇게 힘들어 했다고?
왜냐면 가사를 제가 막 써보고 이러질 않아서 멜로디는 그래도 작업을 좀 자주 해봤었는데 가사가 쉽지 않더라고요.
지금 내 모습을
아이씨
그런
식으로 이건 놀리는 거죠.
사람을 믿는 건 지독한 악몽의 시작.
어우 여기 되게 별로다.
Yeah, Suga really genuinely got Jimin embarrassed there. That's great. That's great. Put him on the spot there.
아무리 생각해도 내가 이 노래의 평가를 백날 해봤자 너 혼자 만족한다고 해서 뭐 많은 사람들의 평가가 내 평가와 싱크가 일치하지는 않을 거 아니야. 사람들의 평가가 사실 중요한 게 아니야. 그러니까 팬들이 어떻게 이걸 받아들이고 좋아해 주냐가 더 중요한 거지.
중요하지 그건.
그런 거 두려워하지 말고 내야 돼. 그리고 까여 보기도 해야 돼. 그러니까 지금 너무 잘하고 있는 거라고.
한참 보배입니다.
That was like some great advice and some real words of encouragement and support from our boy Yoongi over here, my boy Yoongi. And he just says it so confidently. You know, when Yoongi gives his advice and support and encouragement, it just feels so confident and almost comforting coming from him. It's like, you got this, don't worry. That's sort of the message. You got this. I think he just wants Jimin to feel good. Like, I think he just wants Jimin to feel comforted.
안녕하세요. 지민없다.
예 안녕하세요. 아 오랜만입니다. 예 안녕하세요. 아 오랜만입니다.
그렇게 할 거야? 아이돌력 어디 갔어?
뭐라는 거예요 형 자꾸.
연습하자.
진행이야 빨리.
우리 같이 연습하자 이거. 같이 연습하자 이거.
형 왜 연습?
난 그냥 한번 해보자. 해보자.
아이 형 때문에 미치겠네.
야, 너 위해서 하는 거야 임마. 나를 위해서 그런 게 아니라고.
노래 한번 불러봐요.
슈.
아 눈물이 계속 나오네 이거.
알겠어. 이거 얘기해봐.
아 진짜 너무 웃기다.
태양 선배한테 얘기했는데.
I don't know if I've seen anyone make Jimin laugh like Yoongi. I think, here's what I think. I think because Jimin's such a perceptive guy, he's just really affected by Yoongi's honesty. Like, Yoongi being this sort of straightforward person and a person who has these real sort of honest reactions, Jimin being this really in tune, perceptive guy, feels that heavily. I think that's why he has these big responses to Yoongi. And it almost like just kind of takes him out sometimes. But because he's such a feeler, Jimin, and he really feels people, I think he can really feel a guy like Yoongi. And I think that's why I sense that he's very reactive when it comes to Yoongi, because he's in tune with them. In a fun way. In a fun way.
아 눈물이 계속 나오네 이거.
이거
진짜 너무 웃기다.
태양 선배한테 이야기를 했는데 인간 박지민 살면서 이 무대
Oh, that's what I was going to say. If I had to guess, because I do sort of see myself in Jimin in a way, if I had to guess, I feel like Jimin might appreciate Yoongi in a similar way as to why I may appreciate Yoongi. Because I've seen Jimin as this guy who, holds a little back. He's very aware of how he's perceived. He's very aware of his body. But I think when you put him in front of a guy like Yoongi, who seems to be quite unfiltered and straightforward, I think Jimin really appreciates that. Just sort of like how I appreciate that in Yoongi and how I aspire to be a little bit more straightforward and a little bit more honest.
하나만큼은 레전드다.
우린 우리일 때 제일 멋있고 일단.
아니 그거 말고 네가 제일
그러니까. 근데 우리 팀이 언제 제일 멋있었냐 그런 순간들은 저는 많다고 느끼는데.
밑밥 깔지 말고 네가 제일 뭐라고
들어봐요. 시상식 때 우린 진짜 멋있는 것 같아.
And Yoongi seems like a guy, I just had this thought, he seems like a guy who's lived 1,000 lives. Just the way he talks about life and the way he reflects on his experiences. It's almost like he's felt every experience. It's almost like he's absorbed every experience. I think that's why when he discusses these things in the past and his experiences, it feels so wise and profound. Because he's thought about it and he's felt it deeply. I think that's a part of it. So it really feels like when Yoongi speaks, he's lived multiple lives.
우리 마마 마이크 드랍이 우리 진짜 멋있고 난 그리고 뭐가 멋있었냐면은 우리 딱 끝나자마자 딱 쓰러지는 거 약간 다시 생각해보니까 좀 멋있는 거.
그냥 보면 멋있지. 그 이야기 많이 하더라 주변에서도 마마. 근데 나는 이제 박지민
팀 얘기하지 말라면서. 너무 웃기네 계속.
나는 이제 박지민 하면 멜론.
멜론.
2018 멜론.
그 부채.
There's a lot of just magic that's happening in this conversation. And I love how funny Jimin finds Yoongi. I think that's one of the things you can say about Jimin confidently. One of the things I love about him is his depth of appreciation for others. Because he really sees others, he really watches others, and Yoongi is Yoongi. So there's an extra layer of depth of his appreciation.
있고.
정말 2층 침대.
네, 그때 2층 위에 있었는데 형님이 저보고 이제 내려다 보면서 난 네가 진짜로 노래를 잘해가지고
That must have meant a lot to Jimin.
그때부터 이제 갑자기 불꽃이 팍 튀기 시작한 거예요.
왜냐면 나는 알고 있었어. 어릴 때 작곡가로 살았어. 뮤지션들 많이 보면서 자라왔잖아. 근데 너가 노래를 하면 어떤 톤에 어떤 목소리가 나올지를 이미 알고 있었던 거지 그때도.
Man, Suga just has such a sense, doesn't he? For talent, he's just got such an ear for music, and even back then, 10 years ago, a young Suga knew, he saw the potential in Jimin.
화장실 앞에서 내가 음악방송 한 번 있는 것도 그때 당시에는 음악방송 막 거의 8주씩 하고 했었으니까.
맞아요. 그래도 이 풀곡을 할 수 있는 데는 귀했어요 우리한테.
그러니까 화장실 앞에서 울고 있는 박지민 진짜 이거 뭘까 이랬어 나 진짜 생각해보니까.
근데 진짜 웃긴 게 그렇게 화장실 앞에서 울고 또 무대 올라가면 내가 누구 이러고 있고.
It's crazy to think about how much these guys have gone through together. Just all the ups and the downs. These guys have experienced like an incredible, incredible journey together. Really, I mean, we'll never really be able to understand the depth and the closeness and the understanding that they feel.
다 개인 활동 형이 아까 얘기한 것처럼 뭔 의미가 있네. 다 같이 모였을 때가 의미가 있네.
팀이 가장 최우선이지.
그거 하려고 지금 이거 하고 있는 거지 뭐. 사실 이번에 솔로 준비하면서 제가 얼마나 등 따셨는지 그리고 얼마나 부족했는지 알게 되고 막 부족함을 느끼면서 막 열심히 준비하고
See, there
있는데
Jimin goes again. I realized how comfortable I had it, how easy I had it. It's almost like he's the last guy in this group to give himself any sort of like real credit. He's very, very humble in that way. Almost like overly humble. You know, you kind of wish you could shake him and say, Jimin, man, you really didn't lack in many areas here. And if you did, like, it's all good. Like, you don't have to be so hard on yourself here, man. It almost feels like sometimes he doesn't think that he's done enough. I haven't done enough. I need to do more.
그래서 나는 이제 이번에 너가 잘 마무리했으면 좋겠어.
저도 사람이 노력을 한다고 한들 10년 동안 어떻게 한결같이 노력하겠어요. 그동안 밀도가 높은 순간이 있고 낮은 순간이 있었던 것 같아요. 근데 솔로 활동을 준비하면서 부족하다고 느꼈던 부분이 분명하게 눈에 보였고
Again, here he goes.
다시 밀도를 높이고 있는 중이라 그냥 좀 잘하고 싶어요, 진짜.
아니 뭐
그러니까
항상 잘하는데 뭐.
그 어떤 말씀인지 너무 알고 있지만 그냥 객관적으로 냉정하게 봤을 때도 얘가 그 어느 정도의 영향을 줄 수 있는 사람이라고 얘기 들을 수 있을 정도로 좀 성장을 하고 싶다는 생각을.
나는 너가 못한다고 생각해 본 적 없는데.
감사해요.
Suga really, like, you heard him say there, genuinely, like, I've never felt like you weren't good enough.
너가 못한다고 생각해 본 적 없는데.
Like that's almost like one of the more consciously comforting statements I think I've ever heard Yoongi say. I'm happy that Jimin has someone like Yoongi in his corner who's not only going to give him honest feedback and advice, but someone who can say, you are good enough. And I think those words coming from Yoongi mean a lot, and I hope Jimin absorbs that. I hope he takes it in.
나는 너가 못한다고 생각해 본 적 없는데.
감사해요.
Yeah. I like how Yoongi expressed that. It's like, he's like really thought, it's like, I never thought you weren't good enough. Like Yoongi doesn't mess around with his words. And although Jimin laughed in response,
감사해요.
I think that made him feel good.
또 물회 먹고 싶다고 저한테 연락 온 거예요.
물에 못 먹어서 죽은 귀신이 붙었나? 그 물에를 왜?
옛날부터 방송국만 가도 물회 먹고 싶다고. 우리 너무 보고 싶대. 근데 이거 왜 계속
이게 너무 웃겨. 나 멤버들이랑 있으면
And I think also Jimin brings out a goofiness in Suga. Like I don't think I've ever seen Suga be this goofy. And maybe Suga recognizes that he gets a certain type of reaction from Jimin when he shows those sides of himself. And them being kind of goofy together is also a way of them connecting and bonding. There you go. There you go. They had a really nice moment there. They had a really nice moment.
누구나 뭐 인간 박지민과 직업을 가진 박지민을 나눠서 꿈을 꾸진 않잖아요. 그렇기 때문에 나눠서 물어보는 것 자체가 되게 무의미한 질문인 것 같고.
내가 무의미한 질문을 자 알겠습니다. 자 슈다 지금 끝내고요.
왜 이러는 거야 도대체?
다른 사람 오면 어때 이런 거.
봤어 형.
Suga will take the opportunity and take advantage of taking those shots on Jimin.
내가 무의미한 질문을
You know, with these guys, they're brothers, they're so close, so they know they can take these liberties with one another. I think they both really enjoy getting reactions out of each other. I think that's why this dynamic is so great to watch. They really like seeing each other react in different ways.
나이 들어서도 그냥 앉아서 읽으면 다 팬들 다 앉아 있고 주거니 받거니 얘기하면서 노래하고.
그럼 거의 한 80이 넘어야 되지 않을까? 앉아서 다들.
근데 그때도 형은 이제 욕하면서 랩을 해야 되고.
Yeah, Jimin really appreciates Yoongi's honesty.
투 슈타 즐거웠습니다.
예, 준비됐어요?
가자.
What a song.
바이. 아시.
Look at the boys.
좋아. 나이스. 세번 하자.
Look at these two, man. Look at these two. I love the goofiness and the silliness of this dynamic. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. These guys bring out so much joy in one another. Obviously, they're super comfortable around each other and they just really, really appreciate each other. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to watch my uncut reaction analysis to this video, along with my uncut reaction and analysis to the recent Suga and TXT conversation, all you need to do is go to my Patreon link below. Other than that, I appreciate you being here. My name is Max. I will catch you soon. Peace.